You are listening to Unfuck Your Mind with the real, raw, colorful, authentic, empowering, control profanity-loving human Zach Liotis, soul activator, master key holder, and intergalactic elder. Zach loves to find lessons in adversity to advocate humanity one listener at a time. She also enjoys having fun along the way. Check her out at zachliotis.com to see what she's up to. But for now, let's pass it off to Zach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unfuck Your Mind. I'm your host, Zach Liotis. And today's podcast, I have Annick Ina. Annick is a coach, author, and book doula. Her mission is to help women hone in on their uniqueness and turn it into a way of life. She's the creator of Write and Change Lives, an online program for women to grow and experience the transformational power of becoming authors. Sharing her own experiences, Annick creates sacred space filled with empathy and humor to help you honor all of who you are, tell your stories, and change lives. In her book, Soul Superstar, Stories from My Sober Heart, she shares her story in a raw and unfiltered voice to inspire readers to connect with their own soul superstar and explore their own journey. She is currently traveling and hosting retreats and workshops around the world as she's working on her second book, Be You, Do You, a practical guide to creating the life you deserve one day at a time. Welcome, Annick. Thank you for being on Unfuck Your Mind.
Hi, Zach, and thank you for having me. This is so fun.
I love it. I've been loving every part of podcasting, meeting amazing women from around the world. And just reading your bio, it's like, oh, we have a lot to talk about on so many levels. It's like, this could get really juicy. And the part that got me is the stories from my sober heart.
Yes.
I love that. It kind of triggered, like, what's the sober part of it? Where did the stories come from? Were they in the darkest places? Were a broken heart? Were they an alcoholic heart? Where's the sober heart all about?
So I think the sober heart is where everything started. And sober as in, you say alcoholic, I wouldn't use that word because then when you say alcoholic, I kind of have, like a lot of people, I think they're brown, lying in the ditch with the brown paper bag with the bottle kind of image.
Preconception of alcoholic.
Yeah. I think sober means free from the shame overs, as in hangovers filled with shame that you get after the usual weekend binging. Or, having a drink or 12 with friends. And I think on my journey, part of my journey, I started working on my own self. And at some point, I just realized that this was a shame feeding mechanism. Shame that then would be drowned, or I would escape from the shame and the stress and everything by having a night out and fun with the girls. But then by drinking, I would get to that point where that part of me that was completely kind of stifled in my normal businesswoman day would be let loose, and she would just wreak havoc, running around in all directions in a not so metaphorical So I guess then the next day, hangover and all those moments thinking, oh my God, what did I do? And how could I do that? And all that kind of thing. And it would just be a shame cycle and not helpful at all. So I guess at some point, I just thought that's not helping me. That's not serving me. And that's actually preventing me from being who I know deep inside I am meant to be. I know I am meant to be this person who brings joy and light to other people's lives. But, when I drink and I wake up the next day and I feel like, I don't know, what's your PG level for your podcast?
You can say whatever you want. Be you. What is it? What's your book?
Be you, do you.
That's exactly what this podcast is all about. Be you, do you. Be authentically who you are. So there's no PG. This is unfiltered and ready to go.
Awesome. So when you wake up after a night out that was supposedly fun and you feel like shit, like that's not helpful at all. You can't shine your light out. You can't be an inspiration to others and to yourself if you're feeling like the worst piece of shit on earth. And what it did to me was it just reinforced this feeling of there's something wrong with me. And I guess I spent a whole life until then with that belief there is something wrong with me. And when I had those parties, those nights out with my friends, with my girlfriends, I would wake up the next day and I would be like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? And that didn't feel good. And at some point I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of feeling that way. And I'm sure there's a different way to do life. And that's how I originally thought I would learn to moderate and drink just one glass or two, like a lot of people do, but I couldn't figure out how they did that. But I came across a book, Annie Grace's book called This Naked Mind. Read it in 3 days, and that was it. I thought I'm never gonna drink again. I'm done. I don't even want to drink again. And it's been about 3 years now. It's been 3 years and a couple of weeks. And I do have a sip sometimes, like someone will be having a glass of wine and I want to taste what the wine tastes like. Is it good wine? Oh, can I have a sip? I have a sip and that's it. I don't feel like drinking anymore because the freedom that I got and the self-esteem and the self-confidence and the physical wellness that I got from not drinking is worth so much that I'm like, oh, I'm good. I still have fun.
Absolutely. You don't need the booze to have fun.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
no.
I totally get that. I went through that. I went through my alcohol, drug, and sex addictions and stuff like that. So I totally understand you. But did you ultimately find out what you were truly running away from at that point?
Yeah, and that's what my book is like. That's what my book's about. Because a year after quitting alcohol, I just felt I was still battling against this feeling of ickiness. And I remember I used that image of, the basement. The lamp is broken in the basement and there's that dark place. And I would always be afraid of that dark place. And so I would do my best to stay away from it. And when I would feel it, I would feel myself get closer to it, that's when I would drink and then I would forget about it. But I came to that point where I was just so sick and tired of that feeling that I just thought, enough. I want to go down to that basement and go with my light bulb in my hand and fix the light. And whatever demons are in there, I want to face them. I want to look at them and I want to say, you know what? Hello and goodbye. You can be in my life if you want, but I'm tired of being afraid of you. And I remember writing this quote. It just came to me and I just felt the words come. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read it to you because I think that really, it says, there comes a time when the excruciating pain of the past becomes so unbearable that you just can't keep running away anymore. The faint hope of freedom is worth risking it all. Exhausted and breathless, heart pounding in your chest, you finally stop. And in the most powerfully graceful move, you swerve, turn around and face your darkness. And that was exactly the feeling for me, It didn't happen that I quit alcohol and then all my issues were solved. I quit alcohol and I spent a whole year not having any coping mechanism, not having any numbing tool, and having to sit with my shit. And it was ugly. It was horrible. And it came to a certain point where I was like, I'm tired of having to, sit with these things. I want to be free. And that's when I thought writing my book is going to be my unpacking and making peace with my past, with all of that dark world that I've been trying to stay away from. And that's what I did. That's why my book is called Soul Superstar. And the idea behind it is that there is this soul superstar guiding me, just like there's a soul superstar guiding each of us. Mm-hmm. But we go through dark moments in our lives as part of our journey. And if we make it, we get to unpack and actually get the lessons from all of those different lessons, all of those different experiences, and rise above them and use this as the gift that we need, as the fuel, the magic fuel that then will have us be and do what we're here on this earth to do.
Yes. Yeah, you didn't say it any better. It's so, so, so true. Like, I remember exactly what you're saying. I remember I had to unpack everything, I was watching Californication. And I remember
oh my God.
David Duchovny sharing his life on Californication. I'm sitting there watching this going, man, this looks like my life. And Spirit going, that is your life. He's just a male and you're a female. And he's on TV showing his life and you're hiding your life, but only you know this type of a life. And I just heard at that point, stop everything. And I get exactly what you're talking about. And I love that you said it took a year, because it wasn't that you stopped drinking and your life became roses. And people need to believe that. Like, it doesn't work that way, sweetheart. Like, you have to now sit in that shit and create fertilizer out of it, right? And that's the whole thing. When I watched David Duchovny, I was addicted to Californication. I was watching my life before me. He was into sex, drugs, and alcohol. Like, he partied. It was just like, wow, there's a show about me. And once I start revealing this and start recognizing why I was in that whole sexual aspect, the drug aspect or the alcohol aspect, it was like, well, I'm really empty on the inside. I feel dead. And I'm trying to fulfill that. And I totally get it. So your book really just allowed you to be you and unravel you and guide you.
Yeah. And I kind of like to say, it's like, if you've got a computer, you'll understand it. It's just, I had this whole chunk of past experiences that I didn't want to keep dragging with me. They had made me who I was, but I didn't want to be defined by them. And so I kind of wanted to transfer them to a new little home, pretty, but outside of my space, outside of my body, outside of my CPU. Mm-hmm. So writing the book was like unpacking those events, unpacking my past, and then putting it in a container that is the book. So that then it would free up that space in me, present me, to have this new life. And it's not about denying the past. It's just about honoring the past and giving it its nice little pretty house called Soul Superstar. Mm-hmm. But then being free to build on those foundations, to be a new person. Well, a new version of me. Or the old version of me, the version of me,
the truth of you. It's the truth of you, really. It's the truth of you running away from you. So how many friends did you lose in this whole process?
None, actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Because the book is about me. I've had a couple of people say, oh my God, I didn't know you were in such a dark place. I'm so sorry. And it just made me laugh, because I'm like, nobody was in a dark place. I was just just like you, just like any other person, except I just took things for what they are. And a lot of us do not realize that the reason why we are partying that hard, the reason why we're going to the gym 5 days a week and gymming, working out 3 hours a day, or the reason why we're binging on Netflix, or there are so many different ways of escaping from reality, escaping from our own darkness. And because my way of escaping my darkness was related to alcohol, people had that kind of horror story in their minds. But it was kind of fun, actually. And
it was fun while it lasted, but I recognized me.
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't lose any friends, and I'm happy about that. I made new friends because I remember when I started talking about my experience, a lot of people said, "Oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like you're telling my own story."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to connect with people on a deeper level after you allowed the truth to come out of you.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I lost a shitload of friends on that journey because not only did I go through that, but I also went through cancer at the same time. Cancer was my wake-up call. Everything else happened. And for people, it was a little too much. And I was like, that's cool. You're not supposed to be on this journey with me. So it doesn't really matter. I learned a lot this has been 20 years, right? So it's like that massive learning process. And I still have some friends, but I actually choose not to talk to a lot of people as well. I'm like, you have to leave high school where high school is. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to go into that because I'm sure a few of my friends are going to watch this now, but the ones that I had this conversation with know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's exactly what it is. So for anyone that's listening to this, Annick didn't lose any of her friends, or her friends still stood by her side. But if you're finding that you are creating this change in your life and, people start dropping off on your waistline, don't be so tough on yourself. It's just not meant that they're going to be on that journey with you. Right?
But the reason why I didn't lose any friends is because I had already skimmed my friend circle considerably, because I had moved country 3 times or 4 times already. So the few friends that I had were the ones that were there to stay. So I didn't have superficial friends that would then drop me, because I didn't have superficial friends. So
I love that. I love that you said superficial friends, because that's true. It's true. You have so many different types of friends. I would say they're there for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
Right? The reason, season, or lifetime. That's beautiful. So you're writing your book now, Be You, Do You, a practical guide to creating the life you deserve.
Yes.
I could feel it so next level.
Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that book. And I truly feel that's really getting to my life purpose, because after I wrote Soul Superstar, I started my business as I did some recovery coaching. I had a program called BYOB, that stands for Be Your Own Booze, because I thought, as you said earlier, quitting is not all. You actually have to quit and then do the work on yourself so that you don't stay a dry alcoholic, or you don't just not drink, but you don't need to drink because you've sorted your shit out and you don't need to escape from anything. Because sometimes also you would quit drinking and then take on other coping mechanisms.
Not addicts, but other addictions.
Yeah. So after that, I became a book doula, which means that I help people write their own stories, because I saw the huge transformational power that was in sharing your story, one, and putting yourself out to the world. Because as you said, sometimes you lose friends and it's scary, but then the amount of people that you get that come to you and say, "Oh my God, I feel like you were talking to me, or you were telling my story. This is why we're here." And that was the first step. But then as I kept going on my journey, and as I kept working with my clients, helping them own their story, tell their story, and do life, I realized that one of the main beautiful lessons that I've learned on this journey is to go back to me, is to actually be comfortable in who I am and be comfortable in being who I am with other people. This means in the way I be every day. And I think that this is how you get to live your dream life. And a lot of people, because I have to say, I live my dream life. I live the life of my dreams. I travel. I go to fantastic places. I have a job that I love. And a lot of people think, oh, but that's easy. No, you have what it takes, but not everybody has that courage to leave their job. And what I want to tell them is that you're not just going to go from being with a partner that you don't like, stuck in a job that you hate, living a life where you feel like crap, to having the life of your dream in a week. It takes little steps. And what you are seeing now is 10, 15 years of work. And it started from picking a sandwich at a sandwich bar that I really wanted to have, and not the one that I thought I should have because that's where they make the best of them. And that's how you get to create the life of your dreams, by actually honoring and listening to the voice inside of you, the you voice, the you. And take action. That I always say, be you, do you, because I know people listening won't be able to see this, but I always use this image, where the way you be and your actions coincide. Because very often we are in a certain way, we think that's who we are, but when we take action, when we say things, when we do things, it's a different thing. Mm-hmm. So I love creating this merging of who you be inside and the way you are in your everyday life. And I think that's how you get to build the life of your dreams, by picking that sandwich, and then you get comfortable with listening to yourself when it comes to a sandwich. And then next week, maybe, or next year, you will get comfortable with going to that holiday instead of that other one. And then you'll get comfortable with telling that partner they're not good for you, or telling that boss that you're done working with them, and taking those steps. And you get to expand your field of you-ness. Yes. You get to expand your field of expression of you. And it all starts somewhere. And I feel there's so many people who are living those dreams, at least what I see around me, in the world of entrepreneurs that we're in, we get to see those people living their dream lives, but people who are at the beginning of their journey, people who are in a world where they want a different life, but they have no clue how to get there. That's the people I want to speak to. That's the people I want to write for and tell them, you don't have to do massive things that will get you super out of your comfort zone. Just start one little bit at a time. And these are the first little steps, the baby steps that you get to do without feeling that much out of your zone of comfort. Mm-hmm. It will still feel uncomfortable, but doable. And yeah.
And I wanted to say this, you need to become uncomfortable when you're creating change. If you're not uncomfortable, yes, you're not creating big enough change. So I love that you say that, because at the end of the day, if you're not uncomfortable, then what you are aiming for is not big enough. I had a client, well, she's still with me. She's been with me for 6 years, ever since I came out of my spiritual closet. But it's rather interesting. She came to me, I cleared some dark energies that were on her, and she's like, Zach, I want to tell you something. I said, what is it? I hate my job. And I said, yeah. And I said, okay, do you want like a session with God right now? Because there's a lot of wisdom I'm having come down for you. She goes, yeah. So we had a session with God, and all I heard is, then quit your job if you hate it so much. And the whole time I'm sitting there going, man, I hope she doesn't listen to me. I hope she doesn't listen to me, because I feel responsible for her quitting her job if she quits her job. And it's interesting because she calls me a week before her birthday and says, Zach, I quit my job. And I went, oh shit. Now what? Right? I looked up in the sky and I'm like, God, she better listen to everything I tell her, because I know we could take her to the next level, but it's really up to her. And I said to her, are you a hustler? Like, do you want to get fully aligned in hustling? And she said, yeah. I said, perfect, let's do it. So she's been on her own now for, I think, 5 years as an entrepreneur, and all these beautiful things happened to her. But she made me uncomfortable, never mind her uncomfortable, right? So it's a step-by-step process. She had to get rid of the man first. She got rid of the man because he cheated on her. And then, you know what? I got rid of him. I feel like I'm by myself. I have no one else going to get married to this guy. Got rid of him, being uncomfortable, feeling alone. And then the job, right? And then she's like, okay, now I feel like I wake up in the morning, I have nowhere to go. I'm like, no, you have things to do. You need to make this happen, because if you think you're failing, that means I'm failing, and I'm not letting this happen, right? So you have to be uncomfortable. It's I know you were uncomfortable when you first created Your Sober Heart,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think you also touch on something that is really close to my heart as well. And I keep seeing those people stuck in lives that they don't like, and thinking that they are stuck in that life and that they can't do anything. And I want people to realize that they have responsibility in their situation, and they have choice. Mm-hmm. And as you said, that lady, she left her husband or her man because he cheated on her, and she left the job because she wanted to do something different. She didn't like the job.
And yeah, totally.
And a lot of people think that because I am living a different life, it's so easy for me to say, you've got a choice, you've got responsibility. You're with someone you don't love, or you're with someone who doesn't treat you well. You actually got some responsibility in there, not because he's an asshole, but because you're staying when you could be out of that relationship. And obviously, I'm trying to work on a nicer, softer way to say it to people so that they can hear it. Mm-hmm. But I think people need to realize, and that's my goal, that's my purpose, my mission, to let people know that they've got a say in their life. And just as they will choose that sandwich that they like, they will get to realize that they get to make more decisions when it comes to what they want. They will get to act on their desires, know what they want and know that what they don't want, and act on it. Make their reality reflect those desires. Because how many people do I see who are stuck in a job and then they say, oh, but I have no choice. Well, yes, you have a choice. And I'm not saying that you need to quit your job and then be unemployed. There's 50 shades of gray in between this and that. You can be in that job but stand up for yourself. You can be in that job with a different mindset. You can be in that job and start building something on the side. Or you can just, be in that job but know that you are not that piece of crap or that doormat that people are treating you like, and slowly change the dynamics of your relationships on the workplace. That's just to take an example. Same for relationships, romantic or in general. You have a say in your life, and I want people to know that and to act on it.
Yeah, I love that you say that. And I always tell people that come to me, I always seem to attract women that want to divorce their husbands. And it's something for myself to empower, because I have, my slogan is be bold, fierce, unstoppable. So it's not just women that come to me. In that case, it's men that come to me. But I want to stay for the kids. I'm like, stop putting your kids in the equation. Your kids, you're raising your kids watching you and your husband fighting. Like, what example are you giving your kids?
Yeah.
Right. So I love that you say you do have a choice. The choice is to make the right decision in order to bring fulfillment to yourself, because then it becomes a domino effect for everyone else. And the more that you do it, the easier it becomes. And yeah, everyone can have a life like yours, traveling and doing stuff. And, you know, I always hear people say to me, well, you had no kids. And I'm like, yeah, so you have kids and look what you're teaching them. If I had kids, I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be doing what you're doing. Oh, it's easier said than done. Well, no. When you build that confidence in yourself, you had to build confidence in yourself. I had to build confidence in myself. Those that had the courage to create change had to build confidence in themselves. So that book is so amazing. I could feel it already.
Yes. And you see what you just said, that's exactly the beauty of writing your book. That's while you write your book, you're not just, and it's funny because you set out writing a book thinking you're going to change lives, but it turns out the first life that's going to be impacted by you writing your book is your own, because it is such a huge personal growth journey, because you've got to build enough confidence to stand for what you're writing, stand for what you believe, and you're putting black on white and then showing the whole world. And once you've done that, you cannot undo it. And that's when you become unstoppable. Once you've put your truth black on white on paper for the world to see, you're like, okay, what next? Where am I going to be me? And that's when the beauty of it begins.
I know. I just keep on hearing the word blossoming. That's where the blossoming begins. And it's so beautiful. So take us through the journey of the Book Doula, because I know that's your mission, to help women hone in on their uniqueness and turn that into a way of life. So talk to us about the Book Doula, and are you hosting any retreats right now? How many women do you have and stuff like that? Is it men and women, or is it just women?
I mainly work with women, but that's just because most of the people on that kind of journey are women, but I wouldn't have any issues working with a man. It's just, statistically speaking, it's more women. I am currently in South Africa. I'll be hosting a retreat on Friday, a workshop, but that's a Be You Do You workshop. Okay. But I am actually planning a writing retreat in May or June. That will be for those who want to write a book. But the Book Doula thing is, what I do is I help people through the different stages of writing a book. First, it started out as, and I chose the word doula because when you write a book, you don't just birth a book, you birth a new person. It's like a birth. It's like being pregnant with a baby. And when you push that baby out, you become a different person. A mother who pushes her baby out most of the time becomes a mother. She's not a pregnant woman anymore. She's a mother. And writing a book is the same. You're not just one person putting their words on paper. You become an author. You become a different person. And first, what I started, the whole point of the Book Doula thing was to help people through that process, not through the writing, because at some point the words will come. And I think you know that when you get into that place, the words will just come and you will just be the conduit for the words to come. And in fact, in my writing group, one of the favorite texts that we had was the book that wrote itself. Because once you get in that zone, you will just need to sit down and the words will come. But what's harder is dealing with the journey of owning who you are and owning what you have to say and standing up strong in who you are. And that's my favorite part. And then I expanded it to the editing process and the publishing process, because very often you'd get people write their books and they'll be like, oh, that was fun. Now I have to put that book out. I'm not so sure. I don't know how to do that, so I'm just going to wait until I figure it out. But what the truth is that shit's becoming real, and then they have that other level of resistance of, oh my God, am I really going to do this? So for me, I'm a Gemini. I'm a very action oriented, you got to do things. So when we've had that book ready to be out and then you just put it aside, set it aside, and then do nothing with it, it just drives me crazy. So what I decided was, you know what, you're not going to hide anymore under these excuses of I don't know how to do that or all that shit. I'm going to sell, I'm going to give you the services, I'm going to take you through that as well. So you're going to go all the way. You're going to go all in.
Oh, that's amazing. So from the writing to the publishing, you take them on that journey.
And even more than the publishing, from the writing. So I have 3 levels. I call it from book idea to draft, then from draft to book, and from book to expert. Because it's not just publishing as in putting your book out, but it's putting your book out and being building this persona, the author persona, the expert, the person people will look at and be like, oh my God, talk some more, say something, write something, because we want to hear what you have to say. We love what you have to say. When are you going to write your next book? Because, oh my God, we love your words so much. We love your wisdom so much. We love your stories so much. So it goes way beyond the mere publishing of the book. Mm-hmm. It's establishing yourself as an expert and as a thought leader, as someone whose words are worth reading or listening to, or who's worth just being around.
Yeah. And I like that. I think everyone has worth within them, because I find everyone's unique in so many ways. And we all hold a certain candle to our inner wisdom or universal wisdom. So there's so much grace and beauty in every one of us. I know I hear my spirit saying, well, you have a confession to make, don't you? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So I started writing my book, and it got so tough of just allowing myself to release a certain part. And I think I wrote maybe 20, 30 pages by this time. And I just, like you said, you're channeling it down. Your spirit's writing the book. I'm not writing it, and my spirit's writing. And as it's writing it, I'm bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for the universe to know that part of me right now. I can't do this. And it I just keep on writing. And I was just like, you know what? I got to go through that healing process right now. I am not ready to keep on writing. And it's been interesting because a new book came to me, and it was just like, okay, then write this. And I started writing, and I was just like, this seems so boring compared to the first one. I will get to the first one. Then I'm like, oh, I don't know about it. So I get it. You're pregnant. You have all these ideas. That's why it's really important to have someone there to support you, and you going through this process and recognizing it and
because it's a healing process. That's what it is.
It is a healing process. I totally, that's why when you said the sober heart, I'm like, okay, is this the alcohol talking? Is this the broken heart talking? Is this what part of it? Because mine was like, the broken soul, the tormented soul, the kicked soul. It was like every part of my soul has, I've studied my past lives. So I've been burnt to the stake. I've been killed. I've been everything. And I feel like all those lives from my past came into this present. And now all my past lives are saying, write the book that none of us wrote. So they're all encouraging me to write this book. And I'm just like, how about I just start off small, and then by the end of the year, I promise you I'll write the book. And it's funny. They said, give us 40 days together, just 40 days, and you'll have this whole book written, and you'll get someone to publish it. You'll do all that whole expert stuff, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm sure everyone else does. And if you don't, get a hold of Annick. All her social handles are literally in the show notes. Connect with her if you're ready to write that book, to deliver that book. It's like, do it. Stop holding on to it. And it's. I promised myself by the end of this year I will do it. But it is a process.
And one of the excuses, you said 40 days. I wrote my book in 14 days.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the excuses people use. So that's one of the fears that they have, that it's going to take 5 years to write a book. No. You just need to commit to it, and you can write. Most of my clients write a 50,000 word draft in less than 3 months, while having a normal life, while having a job, while having a full-time job, a full-time, not entrepreneurial job, but full-time 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not as hard as it seems, the writing thing. It's the healing thing that may be a wee bit hard. Yeah.
Straight up, it's the healing thing. I get it. And
but there is so much power in it. Like, oh, do it.
Yeah. And I know, that's why I said, okay. So I started writing again this year at the beginning of the year, and I was just like, I stopped on I think it was like day 9. I was like, I gotta stop on. And they're like, and I would have been done by next week. That's how interesting this was. I would have been done by next week. And I said, okay, let's try, give it a try. I'll continue trying it. I'll continue going through it, but scheduling it. And for me, what I found, and please help me on this one, that to help other people, was in order for the spirit to come through me that is writing the book, I was guided to write the same time every day. So if I'm writing at 6:00 in the morning, it's a 6:00 every day. Did you do the same thing as well?
I actually took myself on my own little writing retreat, but all my days were identical. I would wake up in the morning, maybe not identical when it comes to time, but I would wake up, make a cup of tea, sit at my desk, write, have lunch, maybe write some more, edit, and go to bed. I would do that every day for 14 days. And that's normal because it creates this pattern in your brain. It rewires your brain that, okay, after that cup of tea, or, okay, it's 6:00, so I better get ready to get the words out, to do it again in a more effortless way, in a less effortful way.
More fluid, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the word fluid is perfect, because I remember by day 3, the first day, I think I wrote 200 words. And I was like, if you think that I'm going to write 200 words a day and I'm going to write a book in 40, like, you're crazy. By day 5, I had like 1,400 words. And I was like, oh my God, I can't stop talking. This is crazy. So it just kept on getting stronger and stronger. So yeah, it's really about building that momentum and energy on those hours. Well, I want to say thank you. Like, I have so much, I could talk to you so much more, but I want to ask you one question before we go. What is one piece of advice you could give someone? I don't know if it's going to come. I feel like it's more around the be you, do you. One piece of advice that someone could be authentically who they be you, do you aspect of them could be.
When you have to make, okay, let me just listen. One piece of advice, be you, do you. Before saying or doing anything, check in with yourself and see where the answer lies, and see if there's any resistance, any friction somewhere. Because if there is, then that might not be the right word, the right decision, the right thing to say or do. So, of course, not everything will be fluid, as you said. You might still have to make decisions that will create friction, but it all starts with awareness. I think self-awareness is key. And before you start getting comfortable with acting on your desires, at least start connecting with your desires, knowing that that thing that you do, you actually want to do it, or you don't want to do it. You would have preferred doing it that way. But for now, if that's where you're at, doing it differently, even though you want it that way, that's fine. Because that awareness will take you closer to doing it your way some other time, the next time you get the opportunity. And In fact, I'm hosting a workshop in Australia in 2 weeks, and it's called Life Off Autopilot. So that's exactly what it is about. When you make a decision, take a second, breathe into that decision and ask yourself, tune in with yourself and see if this is really, really, really what you want to do.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Checking in with yourself. Ooh.
Yeah.
I had to take a breath on that one. That was deep. For anyone that's listening, that's deep. Let those words literally sink inside of you, because that's deeper than just the words she said. That's like an emotional activation that you just got right there. Trust me, I felt that. So if you're listening to those words, that was a massive emotional activation. So really sit with it. Rewind if you have to hear it over again. Let it penetrate through your soul, through your being, through your ego, through your awareness, through your awakening, through every part of you. So Annick, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed having this conversation with you.
Oh, so did I. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope we'll be talking soon again, because I really enjoyed that.
Yes, for sure. So anyone that wants to get a hold of Annick, guys, getting into that book of yours, that soul of yours, that inner wisdom. You may not think that you have nothing to say. Trust me. You have more words imprinted within your soul than you can imagine once you tap into the infinite possibility that you are. Start writing, start getting yourself pregnant with ideas, and start being in labor with all the beauty that you are. Get a hold of Annick and see where you could take your life to the next level. Stop making excuses to not live the life that you are meant to live. You are more than you are. Trust me, even living this glorious life, if you're living one, you're beyond that glorious life. There's a lot more out there. So thank you for listening to today's podcast. Every social handles, everything that you need to get a hold of Annick is in the show notes below. And until we connect again, have a beautiful day. See you next week on Wise Women Wednesdays. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Unfuck Your Mind. Head over to iTunes and leave your 5-star review and comment to get uprising the charts so we can get this incredible wisdom into more ears worldwide. In the show notes, you'll find all affiliate links to what we've mentioned in the podcast or products Zach loves to use. Until we connect again, unfuck 1% of your thoughts and watch how your life shifts.